the processes of the European Renaissance, and we spoke about the contributions of and the frame of reference as to why the De Medici family got involved in these processes in the first place. We discussed about the value system, the Christian value system, and the Islamic also value system, which attaches a great deal of negativity to income that is generated from interest, which is charged on money that is loaned to people. And De Medicis were a prominent banking family, and as a result of their fortunes coming in from the business of banking, they felt that it was necessary for them to kind of atone for their sins and build their image using various socio-cultural means of uh, gaining acceptance from the society. And these means were sponsorship of a number of lavish works, which the religious authority of that time, namely the organized Christian church, would approve of. So these activities included a great deal of building of new buildings in the name of God, for the sake of religious, what do you call it, religious spread of ideas, and also embellishing or decorating of existing church buildings. So this is something which results in a great deal of artworks being produced on the walls, on the ceilings of various chapels, various monasteries, various churches, so on and so forth. And, Vatican City becomes the center of this art, the Renaissance related activities in the field of art. Vatican. Also, there are other places in Italy, such as Florence, Siena, but Vatican and Rome become very, very important centers of Renaissance art manifestations. This specific creation of Adam is a picture that we saw in the last lecture. But more than the picture, it was important for us to understand what are the various ideological underpinnings of such pictures coming about, wherein they are showing human beings and their interaction with God, or dealing with themes which are religious, deeply religious, or related to the epics, those kinds of pieces of art. What is important here is the putting firmly on the pedestal of study worthiness of human beings. So it was felt that humans are a worthy subject of being studied, one. Secondly, it was believed potential. They have the capability to understand the world, and it is important for us to give some kind of a validity, some kind of a value to human experience. All these ideas together came to be called as humanism, putting humans at the center of your ideological universe. So this confidence in the possibilities of human thoughts, creations, all these things, they all are a part of this whole ideological conglomerate called as humanism. We also saw that primary source material for us to understand who were the people who contributed to Renaissance art, sculpture, architecture, all those things. And we saw that this book by Vasari is a primary source, and it's an important, primary source to study how various people manifested the spirit of humanism, the spirit of inquiry, the spirit of trying to rejuvenate what was happening in the Greco-Roman period. All these things, the rebirth, the renaissance, is something that can be seen clearly from what Vasari has noted down for posterity. In this lecture, we will be seeing a number of specimens of Renaissance art, this one being one of them. this picture in itself is not a great well-known work of art, or I mean not of the cadre of Mona Lisa or Last Supper, but this is important because you can see these three people, 1, 2 and 3, who are supposed to be the three wise men from the east who brought the good news of the coming of Christ, and these three are created in the image of this fellow, and this fellow. These three are created in the images of De Medici people. So earlier we saw names of these De Medici people, Lorenzo and Cosimo and all those people. So this is a period when such things, this is also a period when such things happen. Like today in cartoons, we have people showing, the evil face is assigned to a political leader, or a comic face is assigned to some kind of a different political leader. So here also we see, even if the theme of the picture is dealing with the birth of Christ, still these three wise men from the east are created in the images of De Medici princes. Botticelli is another artist who was in the employment of De Medicis, and he is a very famous artist, very well known for his portrayal of Greco-Roman themes and rejuvenation of ideas from the Greco-Roman period. What do you think is something that is remarkable in this picture? Can you see the picture, all of you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
What is remarkable?
Like the angels are creating that lady.
Can't hear you. Just a bit louder, Utkarsh.
Ma'am, are the angels creating that lady?
Angels creating the lady. Okay. Okay.
Like it seems the lady in the white robe, like doing something with her hair.
Okay. Anything that is very, very obvious?
मॅम तिच्या बाजूची जी एंजल आहे, म्हणजे ती बाई आहे, ती तिला म्हणजे कदाचित कपडे देत असावी.
She's trying to cover up her nudity, right? Nude दिसतंय ना मध्ये?
Okay.
Nudity and covering up. Don't you think the nudity is remarkable even by the standards of 1500?
Anatomically.
Anatomically, yes, also, but even otherwise, for a subject, a main center, somebody who's taking the center stage, as it were, of a picture of a big painting, why is a woman shown in her nudity?
Don't know, ma'am.
Don't know?
No.
का असेल मराठी मीडियम मंडळी असं बिन कपड्यांचं कसं काय चित्रण केलं या व्हीनस नावाच्या देवतेचं?
मॅम समाजातील स्त्रियांबद्दलचा दृष्टिकोन कदाचित त्याला दर्शवायचा.
कशाचा दृष्टिकोन? स्त्रियांबद्दलचा दृष्टिकोन.
स्त्रियांकडे बघतात.
आणि दुसरी बाई आहे तिने कपडे घातले, हिला का नाही कपडे? आणि इतकं उघड असं उघड्या शरीराचं चित्रण कसं काय केलं?
No idea, ma'am.
No idea. This you have to think of the ideology that we were earlier discussing, that is humanism, which speaks of human beings as pure and essentially worthy subjects of understanding, worthy subjects of our inquiry. So a human body without clothes is a human body without any pretensions. Human body without any pretensions, as it is. Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Yeah.
कपडे आपण कशासाठी घालतो, तर कपडे हे आपण कव्हरिंग अप साठी घालतो, बरोबर आहे. आपल्या शरीराचे जे भाग आपल्याला दाखवावेसे वाटत नाहीत किंवा समाजाला सभ्यतेच्या नियमांमध्ये जे बसणार नाही असं आपल्याला वाटतं, ते आपण झाकण्यासाठी कपडे घालतो, बरोबर आहे. आणि ह्युमनिझम हा मानव केंद्रीय विचार हा असं सांगतो की मनुष्य हा अतिशय ईश्वराचंच त्याच्यामध्ये रूप आहे आणि मनुष्य हा अतिशय महत्वाचा विषय आहे, ज्ञानाचा विषय आहे. त्यामुळे कुठल्याही ढोंगाशिवाय, कुठल्याही आवरणाशिवाय माणसाचं शरीर हे पाहणं ही सुद्धा कलेची साधना आहे, अशा विचारातनं हे न्यूड्स आपल्याला या काळामध्ये अवतरलेले दिसतात. तोवर आपल्याला न्यूड्स कधी दिसत नाहीत चित्रांमध्ये. म्हणजे हे काय आहे तर the idea that human body in its purest, in its most unpretentious kind of a form is something that is worth studying. This idea stems from humanism, and hence this body of a goddess Venus was very beautiful, of course, but depicted in her without any clothes as a nude. Okay. This ideology of humanism is something that leads to a number of manifestations in the field of art. Leonardo da Vinci is one of the most important figures of the Renaissance period. He is called as the Renaissance man, a person who has a number of not just skills. He has expertise in all these various fields. He's a painter himself, mathematician, engineer, anatomist, geologist, so on and so forth. So many things. The picture on the right side, can you see the picture on the right side here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me just hide these faces from here. Okay. Can you see the body parts of the horse on the right side? Such minute detailing, muscles and everything. Very lifelike, very lifelike. Why is that important? Okay, keep this picture in your mind and compare that with this. Right? This is what, 12th century, 13th century, the picture.
Yeah.
This is also a very eloquent picture. It is trying to convey a message which we have all understood, so on and so forth. And this also. Still, this is a later period picture, so I won't. Okay, this.
Wow.
And compare that then with your Leonardo da Vinci. What's the difference?
Ma'am,
Detailing.
Yeah, emphasis on anatomy so that it looks more realistic.
Yes, absolutely. Detailing, realistic anatomy, yes. What else? Just keep that question parked in your mind, okay? Of course, yes, anatomy, yes, details, also something else. Okay. This is something that Vasari has to say about Da Vinci, that there can be people with great acumen, great specialization in different arts, but he says that Da Vinci is an artist whose everything that he does, he is a genius in that field. Just some very deep appreciative words about Da Vinci. This, of course, you know. The one on the left side is this Isabella is the
Bella.
yeah, I mean reputed to have been the model on whom Mona Lisa was painted. Some people say that it might have been a male person also, but there are theories and theories and theories about Mona Lisa. So for us, it's important that this is a style of painting wherein, now again, I'll go back to that picture here and here and even this and these, yes. See how individuals are painted, individuals are depicted in these pictures, and see how an individual is depicted here. What's the difference?
Ma'am, more humanist approach. We can see a more humanist approach.
As in?
The human
Humanist
painting.
meaning what? Yes. She takes the center stage one and
she's seen
the
smiling.
nature is in the background and
she's also seen
a single
smiling.
human being, even half of her body is filling up the entire frame of the painting. So what is getting all the, what is hogging all the focus of the artist's attention?
Individualism, the individual, the focus is on the individual.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So this is what is meant by what Utkarsh was saying. Manifestation is showing the ideology of humanism. That is humans at the center of your attention. Okay. Then this, of course, if you have seen the movie Da Vinci Code, have you seen the movie?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
If you haven't,
Last Supper.
yeah, Last Supper. This too, even if it is showing a number of human beings, of course, in this picture, still, what would you say is the emotive message of the picture?
That Jesus is sharing his food with the other people.
Yes, yes. So there is a great deal of togetherness. What else? Do you think all these people are simply just, you know, sitting and waiting for their food to arrive in their plates, or everybody's deeply in some kind of emotive posture?
Yeah. They're either conversing or they're looking at the food or asking others to take.
Yes, yes, yes. So the feelings of each and every one of the apostles is, they are quite evident here in his painting. What a human being is feeling, their experience, their emotions are depicted in a great deal of detail. So no one apostle is looking like the other. They are all having their own share of emotions to express through their faces. Then is works of art. Okay, this one is a Vitruvian Man, again a nude, yes, but here he is speaking in terms of proportions. Vitruvius was an architect from the olden times, and he had said that such and such proportions of human body make a human body an ideally proportionate human body. Da Vinci changed these proportions a little bit, but still the picture came to be called as Vitruvian man. That is a body of a man which is ideally proportionate as prescribed by Vitruvius. This again a great deal of anatomical precision and details. This one on the right is completely marvelous, He knew, see, he's painting it in the early 16th century. No knowledge whatsoever, I mean, no easily available knowledge whatsoever of the human body. And still he managed to do a great deal of study of cadavers, study of dead bodies, study of, fetuses, all those things. He had many things he had to do clandestinely without letting other people know that he's studying this thing. But all of this obviously led to the advancement of science. Even if the means that he might have employed were slightly illegal, this all led to the study of more knowledge about human body. So both these pictures are trying to convey, these are not pictures, these are his study notes, of course. I have taken them here because he felt that human body, anatomy of a human being, is a worthy subject, worthy of even transgressing the boundaries of this nudity, transgressing the boundaries of social, taboos, and this study of cadavers, transgressing the boundaries of, again, social taboos. But he felt that these were important enough endeavors to add to the quantum of knowledge about human bodies. Okay. We've got 2 minutes now. Okay. Michelangelo, there's this trinity of Renaissance. You know that, I hope. There's Da Vinci, then there's Michelangelo, and then there is Raphael. All of them, of course, are Renaissance men doing multiple things, excelling in multiple things. Michelangelo, especially in sculpture. I've got a few specimens here to show. Again, all these statues are from stories taken from the Greco-Roman period. You know the story of David and Goliath?
Yes.
David and Goliath. So this is somebody who's completely powerless, but he says, okay, let me at least give it a try and fight Goliath, and he eventually wins. So, yes. Yeah, Sistine Chapel again. Yeah, less than a minute. We'll stop here, stop at the last judgment, and resume in the next part. Thank you all.